Welcome to Revelry Podcast. I'm your host, Trisha, also known as TikTok Mama. Allow me to introduce my co-host, Jackie.
Hello.
And Lorette.
Hola.
Thank you guys for being with us. We are talking today about how to unpack emotional baggage. And before we dive into it, I want to tell you that we have a very special guest here with us. Her name is Luisa Peterzen. Did I say that right?
Perfectly.
Great. And she will be coming in a little while. We're going to get through some of our key points, and then we will bring her in. So we're super excited to have her with us today. Would you tell us the definition of emotional baggage? Emotional baggage.
Okay. So the definition of emotional baggage is a personal accumulation of issues, hurts, insecurities, fears, mindset, and bad experiences carried in the mind and heart that impairs the ability of individuals to function in a positive light. Now, I know we've all been there, right? I don't care how small the issue is or how grand the issue is. So let's start with 4 ways to unpack this emotional baggage that we tend to carry, right?
Because we all do. We all have some sort of what you listed.
Exactly. So I think the first step is forgiveness, right? And I think the first step is forgiving yourself, right? I know I don't care how big the issue is or so small. You know, I might be angry at someone, right? And can't get past it. But first I have to forgive myself, right? In order to move forward.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean I have to invite them back in.
Not at all.
Or revisit that situation because I have to learn, right?
Right.
But I can forgive myself in order to be able to move forward in life, right? And forgiveness is such a hard thing.
I was just going to ask, do you find that easy? Do you find it difficult? Does it? I mean, of course, it depends on the situation.
Sure.
But I think some people, it's easier for some than others.
It is. Some people can forgive and move on.
Right.
Me,
give her that margarita now, Isa.
But, you know,
she needs to unpack. Thank you, my love.
Hold on to
Thank
it for
you.
I give this to
so
Trisha.
long.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a margarita to make the
Jackie, remember the mic, Mama.
Margarita.
I hold on to forgiveness. I'm sorry, not forgiveness. I hold on to whatever issue I have with someone for a very long time, right? Okay. It is very hard for me.
So you hold grudges.
Because you
like a mother.
Well, I'm thank you so much, Ken. I'm wondering if that's because you think that you want to punish them,
Because you're really
or do
just
you
punishing
think
yourself.
vengeance belongs to you and you want to, they owe you something?
So
but before you answer that, because we know forgiveness is to benefit ourselves.
Exactly.
And I say that, and I'm talking to myself as well. You know, I go ahead. I'll let you.
Well, the reason why I say that is because I'm an overthinker. So I'm always saying, what happened? What did I do to make you do that to me?
Oh.
From the first part, right? Can I trust you that you won't do it again?
Which, number one, that first point you said is a very dangerous point.
How do you mean?
Well, because say it's somebody that is in an abusive relationship.
Right.
You ask yourself, how did I cause this? How did I put myself in this situation?
Right.
So we have to be really delicate with that.
Right.
We don't mean abroad. You forgive everybody that's done you ill.
No.
It just depends.
But also, forgiveness doesn't mean you're going to let that person continue in that behavior.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that you're going to continue letting them. You put up boundaries,
but you know,
right?
that's so hard to say, though. Because most of the time, we let them continue and continue
Absolutely.
and continue, and continue until you finally say, I can't do it no more.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Right? But
Yes.
it takes some people longer than others
Absolutely
to get that.
I truly believe, based on my spirituality, that unforgiveness can make you physically ill.
Absolutely.
I struggle. I have forgiveness. I'm currently, just to share this with you guys, and it'll come out eventually, but not today.
We haven't had enough drinks.
Period. There's not enough tape in the camera. I have somebody that I need to forgive from when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And I struggle with it, and I talk to God about it, and I'm not there.
Okay.
God's aware of it. I'm aware of it. I've told him I want to do it. I don't know how. I still think if I truly believe vengeance belongs to the Lord, he's going to handle that whole situation. I don't have to worry about it. But there's just things that surround that situation that I, as an overthinker, I'm like, I did not handle that well. And to unpack that emotion that goes with that situation.
Not the lip. Not the lip. And we've discussed this. And not to go into too much detail, we've
Sure.
had similar experiences.
Yes.
And I've reached a point in my life where I have chosen to forgive that person at a similar age. And that didn't go without a lot of years of therapy, a lot of years of talking to God about it and talking to other people with similar experiences. So it's reachable,
Sure.
but one shouldn't feel pressed. It's all in your time.
Absolutely.
Because it
Agreed.
has to be authentic and genuine for you to be really released from it.
I'm not released from it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm going to tell you, like, I had a situation occur when I was married, right? And it broke my heart, right? I literally thought I lost my damn mind. And I was going to church every Sunday. Couldn't shake it, right? I'm praying. I believe in God. I know he answers prayers, right? But I wasn't being very specific, in my opinion, right? And
what was
the situation kept getting,
without giving too much detail, what was your prayer? Was your prayer, God,
So-
let me forgive?
No, I just wanted to make it out of the situation. That's all I said.
So God, let
all
me
I
not
did-
kill this motherfucker.
went to the altar and just prayed. You know, in Baptist church they have altar call, right?
Yeah.
Go up and you pray. And I swear, at the time, my ex-husband kept saying, "No, you got this wrong. You got this wrong." And I knew I didn't have it wrong, right? And I hate for somebody to try at the time make me feel like I'm cuckoo, or
Right.
I'm not seeing what I'm saying, right? So when one day, I went to church this one morning, and when I went to church, I sat on the pew close to the front. Happened to be this older man sitting on the side of me, right? I was going at the time to Church Without Walls, Pastor West. I got up because he said, "Everybody stand up." He said, "Turn to your neighbor and hold your neighbor's hand and pray for your neighbor." The man didn't know what was on me.
In the moment, the Spirit did.
Honey, when I tell you I turned to that man and he grabbed my hands, and I wasn't crying at the time, but he said, "It's going to be okay." And I said, "It is not, because I ain't got it. I promise you. I can't go one more day. Like, this is eating me up. I want to kill. So
Right.
This is bad."
Yeah.
And I told him that in church. And baby, when I tell you that man prayed for me, like nobody had ever prayed for me in my life.
I love to hear it.
And when I walked out that church,
Divine intervention.
I never fucking looked back at
Ooh.
the situation.
Preach.
And never thought about it went on. Now I'm talking about it now.
Right.
Right? And went on with my life. And I've never felt so free at that moment.
Friend, I
right?
love to hear it.
So it took a lot. It took a lot. And then eventually, the person who did it wrong to me had to come back and tell me, "I am sorry." It might have been like 8 years later.
But you got your apology.
I got my apology.
And how did that feel?
Man, I couldn't stop crying. Because
you
it
truly released
validated
it.
what I said. And it made me feel, but then you know what I did? I'm sorry too. I apologize
Hey,
for that.
that's
You
okay.
didn't do
Because
nothing.
not that I didn't do it, but I know I caused them hell.
Right.
Yeah.
So I played a part.
Wow,
once,
that's so
you know,
big. That's
but
so big.
God has a funny way of showing out up sometime and shows out.
Yes, he does.
So you were younger when this happened.
Oh, yes.
So for folks out there that, I think with age, we learn to do and to be better. Do you feel that whatever that situation was for you, if it happened today, the Jackie that you are today, will you be quicker to forgive?
You know what the situation has done? Even though it forgive me for that, in the back of my mind, I still am afraid it's going to happen again.
Oh.
So you've forgiven, you just haven't forgotten.
I ain't forgot.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now,
And it keeps you guarded, doesn't it?
it keep me guarded, but it keeps me at an untrustworthy phase, too. It's not mean that I don't trust you, but I don't trust you.
Yeah.
And that's emotional.
You see,
Hey,
but
have
and
I-
that's a baggage that
Yeah,
I've had.
absolutely.
Have I told you that Jackie has a guard around her?
Yes.
I've told you that. She.
Why
don't-
do you think I sit so
she-
far from her?
Uh-uh.
I can feel
Look,
it.
that's my girl. No, but Jackie keeps you at arm's length.
Well,
Well,
I mean, when
She'll-
you've been
and
through.
I'm not saying that's bad or anything.
No, no,
friend.
no.
I'm just saying I know this about you, and I've told Lorette.
Yeah.
Jackie keeps you. She's not gonna let you get so close.
Yeah, I'll keep you right there until I understand. Now, you call me, girl, I'm in my car. Where
Yeah.
you want to go?
You are
Absolutely.
a ride or
I'm
die.
coming.
I
But
got that.
However, I do because I don't want. I know the spirit that's on me, right? I know I'm a lot. I know that. You know how some people have an aura about themselves, and if you've been, and I know some may be Catholic
Yeah.
or Baptist, you know when someone tells you you have a divine power, or you have a calling on your life that
Absolutely.
you might not be ready for.
Yes.
I do think I have that.
I think some people know that they have it, and I believe everybody has it.
Yes, but sometimes some people presence is so much stronger. So when you have such a strong presence sometime and you allow people to get in that presence and then something tragic happens, it's like it takes everything from you.
Right, because you're so committed, so devoted to that. I get that.
It's
Absolutely.
no in between with me. It's
Yeah.
either we in all the way or I'm over there in that corner.
Yeah, we hot or cold. That's it. That's it. But y'all, it is not easy to dive in and unpack those emotions.
Man, no.
I mean, when I was younger, a lot of them I couldn't even identify,
Mm-hmm.
and now I almost need a therapist with me if I dive in and start unpacking
Right.
some of it.
Because we're so aware.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right. But I truly believe if I don't get that taken care of, it will be passed down to my children and grandchildren for them to conquer.
Right.
So I'm really trying to work on unpacking all of my emotional baggage. I fired my psychotherapist
Why?
Fire the cycle.
Why? Tell us, please.
because she said I didn't have to forgive.
Well, it just doesn't go on your
It didn't work.
same level
it
of your
didn't sit
belief.
with my spirituality, and I know that I have to forgive. I just don't know how. But forgiveness, y'all, is a hard one.
It's
a hard one.
But it's a very needed one because
Absolutely. But how can I ask my father to forgive me if I can't forgive?
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
preach.
I
Preach.
mean, like,
But y'all, I'm
Well, he's perfect
trying.
and we're not.
Oh, that's right.
So that's there's that.
That's right.
But there's also what Jackie was saying about forgiving yourself, forgiving the other person, and then the third step would be letting it go. And I think that's the hardest part of that equation is
right.
letting it go, because whether it's someone cut me off where I was driving or someone stole from me or someone abused me,
Right.
there's different layers to it. Some are easier
Absolutely.
than others.
Absolutely. Our boys were playing the other day, your son, my grandson, and they got in a little bitty tiff. And I made a point of my grandson, Luke, had apologized to him for whatever it was. I don't
Right.
remember what it was. And I told my that's not, his part's not over. You need to say, I forgive you.
And I had never even seen something like
Because
that.
you owe a part in that.
Right.
You have a role in that. and you've got to release that. You can't hold on to that. So I'm trying to teach, and I deal with my kids, but I'm trying to you have a part in, you have a role, and you have to forgive, even though I'm not there yet.
Well, see, then, and the thing that Jackie said, letting go is important too, because I feel like you haven't really let go because that guard is there. Had you let go, then you wouldn't have issues with trusting. It makes sense why you do.
Right.
I think anybody would.
You're totally right. If I truly let go, right? But it's not like it's always on the forefront. But it is so much. It's like
a part of everything.
It was traumatic.
You make, every decision you make, maybe.
Not every decision, but you know how you go to the grocery store, and you know you need that salad, but you see that French fry.
Yeah.
It's that analogy.
It's called emotional eating.
I wonder how far back that definition was established, because I feel like generations, like my children, they're 25, they're very in tune with their emotions. Very in tune. In fact,
do you feel like you were at that age?
Not at all.
I don't either.
Not at all.
Friend, I don't even know that I could identify them.
I wasn't even thinking about you as an emotion.
Oh.
But it had a lot to do with my upbringing. Like, I had two parents that were immigrants to this country. So just being on this soil for them was an emotion of positivity and opportunity. So for me to come in as a born first generation American and start talking about, not that it doesn't mean it was important, because now we know, the importance of sharing your emotions. But that was, to them, it's like, what are you complaining about? What do you mean you're sad about X, Y, and Z? This is, the emotions of what we went through to get here is for you to live such a, powerful or such a great life. So for us, emotion was almost suppressed a little bit if it wasn't a positive emotion.
Oh, wow.
We were really taught to see the positive in things. It didn't say that I have negative emotions, but they focused more on positive.
Were you not allowed to express, or was it frowned upon if you unpacked your negative emotions?
It was considered as bitching. It was considered as, my mom came from a communist country. She's like, honey, please.
Yeah, you don't have problems.
You're talking about jelly shoes, What do you, this is nothing. These are not, so it's relative. From my experience, my mom was a very positive person. She spent everything into positivity. So even if I had emotions like, oh my God, this boy broke my heart, she's like, yeah, but you had a boy. She always saw the up in things, the positive in things. And that's how I've tried to be with my kids. It's so annoying, I know, for them, because they're like, I want to sit in my feelings. But we really have to think about the blessings that we have. It doesn't belittle what we've gone through, but there's so much joy in the breakthrough of things. So I was looking up some things about unpacking our emotions, and I just Googled, examples of unpacking emotions. Some young girl, college age, wrote on a yellow pad on her unpacking of emotions. I wanted to read it.
Oh, please.
Because I thought, oh my God, if I ever saw this in my daughter's room, I probably would have taken her to a retreat, because I just thought it was so sad. I thought it was so sad. I'm like, no, this cannot. And what's sad to me, I haven't even read all of it, because I started tearing up when I printed it out and read it.
Give me the box of tissue.
Because I feel worried. Okay. I worry about becoming homeless. And my immediate thought is like, girl, you can work through that. You can get a job. You're in a country. So this is how my psyche works.
Sure.
Because of what I was taught through, my mom. I worry about upsetting my roommates with my mess or my steps or my voice. So immediately I go, but you have a voice to speak.
Right.
But I worry that I will see them, that I will set them off by disturbing them in any way. And then I'm like, girl, you need other friends. We do not need to be in this environment.
But that's not her friends. That's her fault.
That's her problem. Right. She is speaking this into the internet.
So she is taking on someone else's emotion.
Correct.
She is if she spoke that into the internet, I'm worried, right? Because she's more worried about pleasing someone else.
So it's almost like a two-way on unpacking your emotions. We tend to unpack our own and then other people.
True.
Other people, and that's when it becomes heavy.
Yeah.
It's super heavy. Anyway, so she
But
goes
we're
by
called
saying
to do that to an extent, right?
we are.
Okay, go.
But when it's affecting our mental health,
That's why Mama Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
when it's affecting our mental health, it's so she goes on by like, I worry about taking up space. I worry about eating too much, or using too much shampoo. I mean, she goes on about I'm like, man, I thought I had worries. I guess what my point was to get across is we all have that emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has it. There's not one person I think that I've ever met that doesn't have some sort.
Right.
I think it's how do we spin that to the positive? How do we take that baggage and release it for good and unpack it with, no shame and no second guessing ourselves and just positivity. That's how we were talking about mindset. Right? I could be right now as we speak, I could be in a mindset of depression.
Mm-hmm.
We went through a horrible scandal.
Yes.
And for 2 days, I sat and I sulked in that misery of what I had just gone through.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lonely place to sit
Absolutely.
in. Okay.
But friend, I don't know that you were sulking. You were mourning a
Yes.
loss of a friendship that you thought you had,
Yes.
a betrayal. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No.
but it's okay to have those feelings. It's right. What did I tell
It
you, friend?
is.
As long as you don't stay there.
And that's the point. It's okay to have those feelings. My proclamation to those listening is don't stay there.
That's right.
Can't sit too long.
That's
You
right.
cannot sit too
That's
long
right.
in that because this will segue into something I think that we've all have experienced is a death of a family member,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
some sort of grief.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my mother when I was 5 months pregnant of Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I was 3 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant.
Uh-huh.
I'm thankful. I saw in that moment, I didn't see it, but I'm thankful that I was pregnant with Luke
Mm-hmm.
because I thought my life was over.
Mm-hmm.
Losing my mother was losing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started meeting people that lost their children.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, my mom lived till she was 65.
Mm-hmm.
That was a short life, but it could be worse.
Absolutely.
Right? Could be worse. So I think that's a good segue.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
I was going to say one thing I totally agree with you on, right? I think I've dealt with grief myself with my grandmother passing
Just recently?
Recently, yes.
I was raised to you got to go. Business got to be handled, right? She passed right there with me, and it was like you can't cry. You got to get up. You got to fix.
That's a
You gotta
suppressing of the
make
emotion.
This and this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, I really haven't grieved.
I was
but
about to
the-
I believe it.
say.
But the
I believe-
best thing that ever happened is that she gave me something that nobody could ever take, and it doesn't matter about nothing. The house that my grandmother stayed in, she had been there all my life, right? And I am 50, I think I'm 51. Yeah, somewhere around there. But she had been there like 70 years, right? Every time I walk in that house, I smell her.
Oh.
So it's like she's still there.
I love
Right?
that.
Picture
One-
now you making me cry.
I'm
So is that a
sorry.
trigger
So
for you or a
it is
comfort?
not, because
It's a
it is
comfort.
Because when I
Of
go in
course.
there, it don't matter. I don't need nobody going there. They be like, "You're not scared? Scared of what?" Girl, I going around the house. I'm talking to her.
I love that,
I
Jackie.
see everything she left in place from the time she was fussing at me about half making that gumbo at Christmas. That recipe's still on the table where she pulled it out and she wanted to make sure. But I knew it was happening.
But you're seeing the positive.
I have to see the positive.
Absolutely.
But however, grief is something that we all deal with differently.
Yeah,
and
that's
can't
right.
nobody tell you how
Not
to do that.
and look, you can lose a mom, you can lose a dad, you can lose a child. Every experience is different. And I would when people would come up and say, you know, she's in a better place, I wanted to smack the out of them. I'm like, don't tell me my mom's in a better place.
Yeah.
That's number one. Do not tell that to anybody that's lost, because in that moment you're like, I know that as a Christian,
Right.
but as her daughter, no.
I want my mama.
I want her
That's
here with
right.
me.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot through that.
Mm-hmm.
We've all, like, you know, we've all lost somebody that we love, but that's
Right.
the person that we love. You can't relate. You can't relate. It's very different. And also the way we experience that grief and how we handle it is very different.
Right.
Some people are stronger than others.
Right.
The person that we're going to bring in right now, Luisa Peterzen, that you mentioned, is someone that I had looked up to before this tragedy struck her life.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you knew her before.
I knew her before.
Okay.
And I'm even more impressed and in awe of her after. So we would love
Without
to have
further ado,
Luisa. Are we switching? Is she coming here? Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Luisa, join us.
Thank you very much.
Come on in.
Hi, Patricia.
Hello, love. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, ladies.
You know what? We're so rude. We didn't have a margarita for you, but
well, we gonna get you one.
we'll get
Yes,
you one.
yes, we will. Absolutely.
Welcome, Luisa.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Loretta.
coming.
Thank you, Patricia.
And I know you're going to be vulnerable right now, and we appreciate you for that.
That is good. I'm ready.
I know you are. I love that. I love that for you, and I love you for that. So we met a few years back, and I think what I noticed most about you is the incredible connection you had with your son, Victor Stanley Peterzen. I just noticed you were so committed and so loving, and I thought I can learn from Luisa, and I have. I really have. So sadly, devastating, you lost your son in 2020. I want you to share with us, if you can,
Of course.
how you've taken your grief from 2020 to today, and just your unpacking and unveiling your emotions
Absolutely.
on losing Victor.
Thank you again for having me, ladies. It is such a pleasure, and I'm so pleased to be able to come here and get my strength and be able to speak about something that happens daily. It happens more often than what we think, and we need to know more about it. That's something that I would like, and of course we are going to talk about, if you allow me a little bit later, how I have taken steps doing things for others that helped myself as well.
Absolutely.
With the hand in my pocket right here, when you started to speak, I just felt I need to feel warm. And this is the fact that I carry what I have, that I have forever, that is the love for Victor, that keeps me alive, so close as when you place your hand in the pocket, or as when you feel your hand, you need support and you just feel warm. This is how close I always have him. Of course, 2020 changed my life, irreversible. I will never, ever be the same. Some people have said to me, try to go back to your old self because you got away from people, you are doing things different, but it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be the strong love I have for Victor if I stay the same. It changed me. It transformed me a lot. I didn't plan for this. As you know, Lorette, it was in a second. It was very tragic, and it was traumatic, and it was sudden. So when this happened, as these type of circumstances are beyond the fact that you are seeing someone that you love transition, let alone a child that you carry with you. But also the fact that you are dealing with trauma that you never, ever expected to feel. And for me, the way that I see it is love is everything. And for love, like I say in your boutique, remember when we had an interview there with KPRC, I believe. By the way, Lorette had the idea an amazing idea that she said. One day she called me and I was crying, and she said, "What happened?" I said, "I just found a list that is a gift list from Victor." And she said, "Wait a minute, we'll do something with this. Thank you so much. We have been doing it for many years since that happened. It doesn't erase my pain, but it does help me to find purpose and light in what I believe that is the reason to continue." The situation that happened that day is a situation that taught me that, as you ladies were speaking earlier, we need forgiveness to be able to continue. And we also need to know that it's in God's hands, and it is for Him to decide and not for me to decide. All that I can do is continue loving. And I love the name that you gave to the podcast today, Unpacking Baggage, because I have written before. I do motivational writing, so I've been writing a lot before Victor and after Victor's passing too. And one of my poems says something like unfolding love. And it is definitely the beginning and the end for every circumstance. I know it is not so easy, but it is possible.
Absolutely. So, to give some backstory, Victor was 10 years old.
Yes.
It was COVID era.
It was COVID era, and in the moment it happened, it was the moment when children were about to go in person, back to school in person if they wanted. And Victor said, "I want to go back in person." But that day, he took classes online before he started. So everything he bought, clothes, shoes, including a pair of shoes that he said, "Wow, they will look so nice on you, Mom." And I said, "Wow, I'm buying things similar to your things. What is going on? Am I looking younger?" And he said, "Well, you are super young." He was the sweetest. He was.
So,
Yes.
riding his bike in the neighborhood, because I think you can also touch on the forgiveness part. He was struck by a vehicle,
Yes.
and I know that that's been very difficult for you because I think when, whether you see it as an accident or not, when you cause an accident, regardless, you ask for forgiveness. I don't think that's happened from the person that caused the accident, quote unquote.
No, it didn't, or it hasn't yet. I pray to God every single day for her, for myself, for everybody, and for my life. Some people have thought that that's not normal because it is not possible that I didn't want to do something a little bit more aggressive, but I do know it is not in my hands. And the fact that we don't receive the words as I don't know what happened, but I feel bad for you, at least, because especially if you're a mother, then you feel it. You might feel, well, if somebody pulls my children's hair, I will feel bad.
Right.
Imagine when this happened. So, of course, it was very difficult, especially to see someone living a life and posting about living life to the max when you were still trying to understand what happened. I didn't want to sleep because if I slept, I will get up and don't see Victor. I didn't want to eat because I thought I'm going to eat, but his last meal stay in my house. And I didn't want to take the last meal that I was going to feed him out of the fridge.
Right.
So I left the meal in the fridge for the longest I could. Many people don't know this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about something so private. And there are certain foods that until today I cannot eat because I cannot handle it.
Right.
Yes.
And you don't have to answer this, but when we're talking about forgiveness, it sounds like you have. Have you come to a place in your life where you've forgiven the conductor of that vehicle?
I have forgiven the conductor for my own self, for my own.
For your sake.
Yes, for my sake, for my peace. I need to, or else I couldn't live.
Right.
And this is what I mean by being relative.
Right.
This is something that you have experienced that is a mother's worst nightmare.
Yes, it is.
And you can sit here today and say, I have, for whatever reason, but I have chosen to forgive this person.
Right.
without them coming to ask for your forgiveness
Yes,
first.
yes, I don't need that. In my heart, I forgive because I need to forgive for me to be able to do productive and constructive and to transform my life and to recognize that this happened, this is true. And still so many days I wake up and I feel this is stronger than ever. So it's so real. Some days are more real than other days.
Right.
But for me to be able to get to that point, I needed to say, okay, I forgive, even if the person is not coming to me and saying it. But it doesn't mean that there are not other things that in the world we aspire to see, like the changes in the law, changes in behavior, changes in the way that people think. Because one thing is, like I was speaking about love, one thing is love, compassion. And those are feelings that shape us into who we are, but that also bring light to the world. And in the moment when we start thinking about others and thinking about the world, and sometimes someone once told me, but why do you think about the world? Well, I am in the world. And if the world can be better because we are acting in a different way and we are bringing a message that is going to construct the life of others, then that is positive. We have to do it. So that's how I see it.
And you are a person that you practice what you preach, because one of the things that I will never forget is that as we sat in the hospital room, when you called me and we went to go see you and Victor and Rodney, and I've shared this with Trisha, you prayed for my children.
Yes.
And I thought, here lies your son fighting for his life, and you are praying for my kids.
Yes.
And I think that the world does need to hear this, because I feel like it's easy for us to assume, like, oh yeah, sure, I would do that, or I wouldn't choose to do this direction. But in your most weakest moment, you chose to give back to others.
Yeah.
And that was pretty powerful. How?
Thank you.
I know we've discussed this because I've talked to you about it. A lot of people, when they go through a grieving process, they seek medication or they go to a doctor. That's something that you chose not to do.
Yes.
Right? And I told you, I said, Luisa, I really think that maybe, you should. And you've stayed strong in that platform. Tell us why.
Well, I decided I want to feel the most that I can feel. I want to feel the extreme. I want to feel the deepest love, and I also want to feel the strongest pain, if I need to, for the love of my son, for the honor of my son. It was not just something that broke. It was a child who was living life and got this happening to him. So all these things came to my mind, besides the fact that I'm his mother too, but the way that I saw it was, I love you so much that I want to express this to you and to feel this for you. And I'm not against medication in any way. People need it sometimes. I don't know if I might need it in the future, but that's why I decided not to take the medication. I was in therapy for a few months, and the therapist then told me, I believe that you need to join a group of mothers that are living the same that you have been living. I had already joined a group, Helping Parents Heal, that is amazing, it's worldwide. And then I got to know about David Kessler, and I decided I want to become somebody who can help others in grief. And so
amazing.
that's what I
beautiful.
did. And
Right.
thank you very much. And I keep reading and doing what I can for other ladies who at some point, some of them have thought, I cannot live. And I have said, yes, you can live. I know right now you feel so broken. There's not a way to describe it. It's as if you are on the floor and somebody's just kicking you and they are not stopping, and you feel there's no way for me to get up from here, from the ground. But you can. You will not be the same. You will cry some days. Other days you will feel confused. Other days you will want just to go. One day I woke up and I raised my hand it was what I did. I raised my hand and I felt I want to touch him, and I cannot. And that was one of the most difficult days of my grief. But I realized this is the reason why I'm still here. Is the fact that I do recognize I cannot touch him, but that doesn't mean that he is completely gone. Um, there was a poem that I wrote at the very beginning of grief. I didn't get out of bed for the longest time, and the school saw the poem and they sent somebody from their public department, and they wanted the poem to be in the yearbook that Victor was going to miss. And I say yes. And that poem talks about exactly that. I'm not completely gone. I'm here. And I feel I receive these thoughts, these guided messages. And I guess that's why the poems and the thoughts that I share are touching people's hearts, because they are coming from me, yes, but also they are coming from a place that is of innocence from Victor, and that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How has your faith helped you through this time?
My faith is stronger now. That for sure I can tell you. I believe strongly in God. I do know that what I cannot do, He will, and that I can imagine He will do for me. Because if I believe it, and if I see it, even before I know that I can do it, with the tangible that I might have or might not have, I know that that this is happening. It is happening, and it makes me think about the way that we humans see justice, and it is, of course, another huge subject in the U.S. about these traffic situations that we really wish could be fixed. But at the same time, I do know that no matter how long it takes for the law to be reformed or for changes to come, God is going to act, and He will act where it matters the most, in the heart. Patricia, when you say that, when you were talking about something that happened to you, I want you to know my heart is with you, and I could feel that strong in my heart, and I also know that you will do it. You will do it.
Thank you,
Yes,
Luisa.
you're welcome. That really touched my heart. I feel for you. I wish it never happened, but things happen sometimes.
They do.
All that
They
we
do.
can do is trust in ourselves, and you do a lot.
That's
I
right.
admire you.
Thank you,
Thank
Luisa.
you.
I admire you. Hearing about this and watching you as a person, like you, it sounds like pretty instantly, Lorette showed up at the hospital and you
Yes.
focused on her instead of what you were going through.
Yes.
Like that speaks volumes of who you are.
Thank you.
What do you think? How long do you think the grieving process? Are you still grieving today like you were year one?
No.
Is it different?
It is.
Is it lightened? Has God lifted some of the load?
No.
Do you have any kind of peace?
Yes. Yes. That is very interesting, Patricia. Thank you for asking. That subject is something, there are stages. So now I'm a grief coach. I never thought I would do this.
Wow.
And yes, and so there are stages of grief. And sometimes, especially for new mothers coming into this new situation, unfortunately, they believe, well, but I was feeling numb. I didn't feel anything. And at the hospital, I was pretty numb. Then I will cry. So I didn't
Almost
know.
like a state of shock.
Yes, it's a state of shock. So sometimes there is confusion, like, okay, so I feel numb, but I don't feel angry. And then the time goes by, and they will say, you know, I'm feeling numb again, and I'm feeling angrier than before. But now I also feel that I hate in the situations when it is somebody causing the death. I hate that person, something like this. And the reason is because the pain will always be there. Pain comes from love. Love never dies, and so pain will never die. What happens is we find new ways, thank God, to cope.
Okay.
And in those new ways to cope, you also find inspiration, motivation. For me, it has been seeing how I have been able to do it alone, myself, without medication, and, and without therapy, really, just at the very beginning. But finding ways to know myself more, to be alone more, to write, or whatever it is that will help somebody. That's what I advise. Learn what helps you, because it works different for everybody.
Right.
Yes, but also know that it can shift. Feelings can come back because the pain is so strong. Something that is very common among mothers that have seen a child transition is when we travel and we come back, we don't want to be in the same place. When we come back feeling so sad. And it is a little bit of depression, but it is also coming to the place where once it was a happy place and now it's not anymore. And it will never be happiness in that way.
Right.
Wow.
So
Yes.
it lets me know that in spite of everything, you've been able to look to the future and kind of
Correct.
be able to know this is your new normal. However, it
Yes.
might not look right.
Yes, Jackie.
It is your new normal.
It is.
And you have managed to navigate through that life of grief. And, your baby is no longer here, but you've surrounded yourself with a group of women, like-minded women, right? That
Correct.
have maybe not like-minded, but women who have been through the same
Yes.
similar things and still able to help someone else through their tragedy. It always speaks in volume when we're in the midst of a storm, but we still have the energy to pray for someone else, because you never
Absolutely.
want someone else to go through that pain that you are going through.
Exactly.
But this is my friend, and she have kids, and mine might be in this situation.
Yes.
But God help us, and we can move this way.
Amen.
I just don't think I could. And that's what's so inspiring about you is that even when you were praying for me, I remember thinking, could I be this?
Could I return this favor?
Could I be this strong? Could I be
yes.
this compassionate somebody else when I am losing my child? And I hope I would. I hope I can learn
Yes.
from you in that.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to ever feel that, and that's why I pray. In the moment I met you, I do remember clearly when the other lady was there, and I saw Lorette, and I saw just something sparkling, and I don't know. It was so quick in that moment, and then to be able to see Lorette more often, because I was taking Victor to piano lessons next to her
Luisa,
boutique.
you were shopping, Luisa.
I did. I did too.
Luisa,
I have to admit.
we're not judging you.
What
but
is-
you were shopping?
What is the wallet?
And your mother was shopping too.
Right?
Yes.
No, true. And then in that moment I felt, wow, there is a connection. So when this happened to me, and Lorette was actually the first person to go there to the hospital, I remember we met in the hallway. In my mind, I didn't still understand what the doctors understood. I thought Victor was going to wake up in any moment.
You were holding on to hope.
Yes, so strong, Patricia. I was feeling hopeful, so hopeful, more than ever. I was, everything will be okay. We are going out of here with Victor. And I remember Lorette brought this scarf, and it was cold there, and she covered me. And in that moment, it changed something. I didn't know what it was, but it changed something. And I started a poem about that I haven't finished. Goodness, it was so strong. So that's why I had that call to pray for her. I don't want this woman who is so different, so special, and so connected with spirit to ever feel what I'm feeling. In the same, when the moment came to do the donation of the organs, I talked to Lorette a lot about it. I was ready, but I was not, because I couldn't accept
Sure,
it. And then there was a moment when I told the nurse, "Can you please go out?" And I stay here alone, make sure nobody comes in the room. Can I? She said yes. So I lay down next to my son on the floor, next to the bed, and I pray to God something like, I cannot believe this. I cannot imagine that I will walk away and I will not see Victor. I cannot. But then I say, but if there's not way that Victor is going to be here, please God, give me the strength so that others can live. And I decided, if that is so, I will donate some organs. And so we did. And part of the story that we talk about in a book, by the way, written by
Is
my...
this the name of
Yes,
the book?
it is available in Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Yes, written by Patricia Justo. She is a journalist from Venezuela, my friend, and also she and I work in oil and gas in my country.
Okay.
And part of that love and part of that decision to say, I will think of others, not only myself, is reflected there. It's a beautiful story, not only for people going through grief, but for anybody. It's a story about love. It's about understanding that we are not here forever physically, but we never completely go away. And I'm so glad that I have learned that, not that I live that to learn, but I'm so glad that now I understand a little bit more of what I didn't before. So I'll meet him one day.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you,
Luisa.
ladies.
That's a beautiful story.
It sure
and
is.
Thank
I
you,
am
Jackie.
so grateful that you came today
I'm grateful for you ladies. I am.
and
I feel
delivered
honored.
that.
I'm
Yes.
humbled
Because,
for that.
you know,
yeah.
like we all have said, I don't know I would be as strong, but sometimes you have his strength
That's
to
right.
carry you on.
Yes,
That's
you
right.
know,
you are right.
And he's not gone. He's gone in the physical,
Yes,
Right.
but not in the spiritual.
That's right.
that's true.
That's
so
right.
that is
And that's the
always a
hope.
connection.
Like
Yes,
you were saying.
absolutely.
Thank
That's
you,
right.
Jackie. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Your
Wow.
your trauma that you've been through is it shouldn't go in that order, right? It just feels so out of order, right?
Correct.
That's not natural for us to feel that.
It's not.
I don't know why we have to, but I have to say your testimony is so beautiful. Just the way you uplift other people, your whole ministry of uplifting
Thanks,
other
Patrice.
people, that is beautiful how you put back into the lives of
I
others.
need to, or else I will die.
I get it,
I
but a
will
lot of
die.
people don't. They curl up and they
Yes.
go into
yes.
depression, and you're fighting it, friend. You are
Thank
out
you.
here making a difference in the world, and that's what we want to see women doing, right?
Right.
It's terribly hard what you went through, terribly hard.
And I
I'm
think
so grateful.
What you are going through.
Yes.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
will forever.
Yes.
Yes.
And forever is love.
That's
Yes.
right.
Thanks,
That's
friend.
right. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
there's no doubt in my mind that as tragic as Victor's loss is,
Yes.
God's hand has been all over his story. You know, from just us meeting to you being here
It's,
to things that people don't
it is
know.
unbelievable.
Things that people don't know. I know the husband of the conductor of that car. Yes. And I struggled with that a lot. Right? Because here's my friend and a friend.
Right.
Yes.
And then
Oh wow.
yes.
Yes.
But I felt like God's hand was in that. Like God knew back 20 years ago when I met the husband that it was for this moment. That for me to try to
Imagine.
make peace, bring her comfort, and vice versa. We've talked about this. Victor is an angel, was an angel on earth.
Very, very.
The fact that you see that the positive spin on writing a book, sharing this with others, donating the organs. Something that before you go, I do want to mention is that Luisa would call, for short, Victor Colorado.
Yeah.
He's very fair skin. Her husband's blonde blue eyes. So because of the redness that he would get in his face,
In the hair.
in the hair,
He was born with reddish hair.
reddish hair.
Oh.
And we call it Colorado in Venezuela. So I start calling him mi Colorado. And he just stay. And then when he was big and he was playing soccer, one day I was, Colorado, go, but kick it. Then, Mom, don't say Colorado too loud.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
What is, and this is what I say about God's hand in everything.
it is. It
So
is
Luisa-
divine guidance.
Lisa mentioned that Victor was a donor, an organ donor, at his tender age of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the donor department at the
Mhm.
hospital told Luisa, you know, one of the questions that you had was, will I be able to know where his organs go?
Right.
They said,
Yes.
look, you know, it's up to the family that receives it
Mm-hmm.
if they want to make that decision, but they usually don't respond in a year. And I remember praying, God, Lisa does not have a year. She needs to know. These are things that I knew they were deep in her heart that she wanted to know because it was a hard decision to make in such a short amount of
Right.
time.
Yes. Yes.
So within 3 months, she gets a letter
So quick.
from the
So
first
quick.
from the first donor. But listen to this. And it was Victor's heart,
Ugh.
and it was given to a girl that
Yes.
lived in Colorado.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
Yes. And I'm about to write a letter, and hopefully I will meet her soon. They want me to meet her. They sent me a teddy bear exactly. And by the way, Lorette is the person who has organized Victor's candlelight visuals.
Aw.
Thank you for that, Lorette. From the
Oh, that's
very first
beautiful, friend.
moment, it was 19 days after Victor's situation happening, and she organized all that. So, all the honor to you.
Thank
All the honor to you. May God bless you. May life reward you. So, that is why I pray for you, because I felt that heart and I felt that woman, and I do not speak if I don't feel something that is true and so real. I keep my words. I'm not a person to speak too much. I say what I truly feel, or I stay silent. And you are something else.
Oh, you're
Oh,
something
wow.
else, girl.
Thanks.
Wow. That is beautiful.
Friend, what would you tell our listeners if they are experiencing something you did? What would you tell them to do to go for help? Where would you tell them to reach? Steps would you advise them to take to start healing?
Yes. First, I will say surrender. That is a practice that I did myself. And that's why I waited until I went to talk to a therapist. I I wanted to stay alone. I would recommend for people to do that. And no matter if it is just the loss of a child or of a relative, a husband, or marriage, the person needs a space to grieve, to stay by themselves. And in that moment, the person needs to surrender completely to the point where they feel they are cracking completely. If you do not crack, you cannot let the water come inside to refresh you, the light to come inside to refresh you. You need to feel it. And so that is my first advice. And of course, second, you will need to find professional help if you feel that you need it. Going to a therapist is amazing because you can speak, or coming to a coach like me. It doesn't matter if the person lives a circumstance like me or not. You can go to a person like me, a grief coach, or a psychologist, or whoever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to try medication at first if you don't want to, but
But it's okay.
but it is okay. If you really feel you need it, please do. Please do not wait, because that is another thing too. Emotions will be so strong. Situations will be confusing. You might see just something on the TV, or you might see an item that belongs to the person, and
It'll
then
trigger
that
you.
will
Yeah.
trigger you, but so badly. That will be something that you will perhaps need help with to deal with it better. If that is for you, then do it. And another thing is join groups with people who have gone through similar situations, and that not is not always the answer. That might not be all that you need. Maybe you might need to be more with your inner self, but it helps a lot. I'm so grateful that that day I found that group. Until now, I'm there. We support each other in every single way. We have done for each other things that we never imagined, and we have never met in person for the most part. And for that, I'm so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you, Luisa.
Thank you, Patricia.
We're
Thank you
very
again.
grateful for you.
Thank
Yes.
you, ladies.
For you today.
Yes, yes.
I'm so touched by you ladies, by what you do and what you want to do, and for what you show also to the world, because that is a strength. I'm so happy and so proud when I see women being productive and believing in what they do. It doesn't matter what it is. You dance so well.
That's right.
And you move so good. So if that's what you enjoy, I mean, it just shows.
Yes.
It just flows. It just goes. Do it. If you like dancing, if you like singing, if you like writing, but show it. Don't just stay there behind the scenes, feeling shy or
Yes.
guessing, will I look okay? Will that be good or not? Just do it.
Just do
Because
it.
that is part of healing too. Doing what you feel, and you will not believe what you are doing is helping you deal with things that many people don't know about you.
Right.
I love
Yes.
that.
That's
I
a
love
fact.
that.
Yes,
And
Thank
what-
you for being so vulnerable.
sure.
Thank you so much. I think
Thank you.
you've moved us, and I think you're going to continue moving a lot of people.
Yes.
Amen.
And you sharing your story is not one that we will take for granted, for sure.
She took that
appreciate
test.
that.
You did, friend. You took that test and you turned it into a testimony. Like, that is beautiful. Your heart is beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Thank you
with us.
for your words, Patricia.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. With that, we're going to close out. We thank you guys for joining us. And Jackie?
Please, subscribe to us on YouTube, our channel on YouTube. Make sure you click the bell for the notification so you'll
Absolutely.
get the notification of the next episode. And please follow us on any platform that you do get your podcast.
Yes.
And again, thank you for hanging out with us today, and we thank our special guest.
Thank you, ladies.
Luisa
Yes.
Peterzen.
Luisa.
Thank you. Thank you.
He says-
Remember to
he says,
surrender.
I'm here.
Surrender.
Surrender.
That's our new word.
Let
Yeah.
let yourself feel the feels.
Yes,
That's right.
I like that, Patricia.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Thank you,
correct.
guys. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
Bye,
Thank you.
friends.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
friend.
you so much.
Thank you so much.